Hello everyone. I'm going to be talking about a very important unit in abnormal psychology. It's the first unit about understanding abnormal behavior. How do you diagnose the abnormality? How do you treat it after doing a correct assessment? So let's start with understanding, like a layperson, what is abnormal behavior. So if we just look at any case study, we would see that a person, when he or she faces more than average degree of adjustment difficulties in life, at work, in college, in general, with friends, should we diagnose and consider this as a psychological disorder? Now, we also need to understand that before we jump to a conclusion, we need to come and give some kind of importance to family history in diagnosing someone with a psychological disorder. Now, psychological disorders are becoming a part of human experience. It is touching a lot of people's life, either directly or indirectly. So let's look at what do we understand by a psychological disorder. We feel that psychological disorder definitely has a social impact because it will affect your relationships with your close friends, relatives. It will have a long lasting emotional and social effect. There will be an extreme amount of feeling of sadness, loneliness, which will indirectly and directly have focus problems, and you will not be able to concentrate on your work that you do, and this might lead to people having prejudices against you, which will lead to some kind of social discrimination, people having prejudice against you. So how do we define any behavior as abnormal? We would define a behavior as abnormal when that is clinically significant, when that behavior, any behavior that is dysfunctional. When I say dysfunctional, it basically means that you are going to be showing some kind of psychological, biological, or developmental processes are going to be in problem. This kind of distress is going to make you not have a normal realm of understanding life. You will have some kind of social deviant behavior which you will show in public or private, and definitely this will have some kind of dysfunction within the individual. So basically, these 5 criteria help you to define whether a behavior is abnormal or normal. Now, what could be the causes of an abnormal behavior? So in abnormal psychology, we look at 3 main causes, or we can even call it perspective. One would be the biological cause, 2 would be the psychological cause, and 3 would be the sociological cause. So when I'm looking at the sociological, I'm also going to put cultural aspects. So I'm going to make it a socio-cultural aspect or perspective. So let's take the first one, which is the biological or biopsychosocial approach to understanding abnormality. Now, we understand that biology having an impact would mean genetics play a very important role. That would be number 1. B would be definitely the structural aspects of your brain. So if you've had a brain damage, a brain accident, some kind of injury around the brain area, that would, or a tumor or a blood clot, these could be contributing factors to an abnormal behavior. Thirdly, it would be if you're constantly exposed to harmful stimuli, like if you are consuming any kind of substance, abusing some kind of substance, or basically toxic allergies, toxic substances. These are certain biological contributors to abnormal behavior. When I'm looking at the psychological causes, and we all understand that constant feelings and thoughts that run in our mind, when these thoughts and feelings become disturbing, or when our past experiences, life experiences, are not resolved, and if they are painful, they definitely contribute in us having maladaptive thoughts pattern, and we have difficulty in coping with stress. Stress is inevitable, so we're going to have stress in every realm of our life, but dealing with it, coping with it becomes a difficulty, and we indirectly start showing abnormal behavior. Now, when I'm talking about socio-cultural, society has a very, very strong impact on our behavior. There are certain social stigmas against the do's and don'ts of behaviors. There are stigmas against communities. There are stigmas against certain religions, certain matters of gender identity, etc. So these are some aspects, these are some causes or perspectives that are underlying behind any abnormal behavior. So if I need to put all these two things together, I'm going to be calling it the biopsychosocial approach or a perspective, which again means that we don't look at each of them in an independent manner, but we look at it with an interactive approach, and we say that there is an interaction between the biological, psychological and sociocultural factors which contribute in an abnormal behavior. Now, this will definitely be different from disorder to disorder. Every disorder or an abnormal behavior that we can diagnose will not have the same contributing factor.